Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Up Supercast Game Club. My name is Brandon. I am your host, and I have a slight headache. And joining me today, I have Ilse.
Paint the man, cut the lines. Paint the man, cut the lines.
And I have Noah.
I'm losing my sanity.
Me too, brother. Me too. And this week on the Game Club, we played Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Was a Patreon picked by our good friend Leahy on our Discord. He's a Patreon of ours, and he chose this game. So thank you, Leahy, for and all of our Patreons for supporting the podcast. But also thank you, Leahy, for picking this game that you won the raffle. So, well, technically somebody else won the raffle, but you got to choose the game at the end of the day because you chose your game. But anyway, long story short, we played Amnesia. And Amnesia, let's talk about it for a second, was developed by Frictional Games, and also published by Frictional Games, and came out on the PC on September 8th, 2010. So it's a 10-year-old game, almost 10-year-old game at this point, and I guess I feel old saying this, but I feel like this game, because, it's been out for almost 10 years now, there's some people who would call this game a classic at this point, which, makes me feel old, like I said, because I don't feel like it's that old, but it is getting up there.
Yeah, there was a point in time where, like, this kind of boomed, or like horror games, or like this was the game that was used to like make YouTubers popular into as well. It's like really weird. It's like it feels like it's a very important game to like video game culture.
Definitely, especially YouTube culture. I mean, it's a game that ushered in, like you said, I mean, just almost like it's a game that ushered in Let's Plays, especially face cam Let's Plays on YouTube. And it was just a while for, in 2010, 11, where every YouTuber, was playing this game. And you look at, like, some of the biggest YouTubers out there now, like PewDiePie and Markiplier, right? And they got big because of this game. Yeah, this is the game that really put them in the spotlight. Like, people were really having a good time watching people play this game and, screaming and shitting their pants while playing it. Because it is a horror game, by the way.
Are we gonna get like 1 million followers from this?
Maybe if we
streamed it.
If we did this episode in 2010, maybe. We might be a little late on the train, but yeah, we did. But we're finally finally getting around to playing it. I felt like I had played it because I had seen so many people play it. But finally had played it. Also, the game did come out eventually on other platforms, but not for a while, because it didn't come out on console until PlayStation 4. It came out in 2016, Xbox One in 2018, and as recently as the Nintendo Switch in September 2019. So not that long ago, 8-9 months ago, it came out on the Nintendo Switch.
And it's getting a sequel, right?
It has a sequel, one now, called Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs, and a second sequel called Amnesia Rebirth that was just announced March 6, 2020, and is supposed to come out later this year. So, I guess it's kind of topical in a way.
It also has like a DLC, right, called Justine?
Justine, yes. Yeah, an expansion, and kind of a sequel-ish thing. It's that came out for this game. And there's the Amnesia trilogy, I think. I don't know if it's a trilogy or what it's called.
Amnesia Collection.
Collection, right. That has this game, The Dark Descent, the expansion, Justine, and Machine for Pigs on it. I think that's the way you purchase it on all consoles at this point. I don't know. I don't think you can buy them separately. But yeah, Amnesia is it's a horror game, a survival horror game, played in first person, and you play as you take control of Daniel, and you have to investigate a castle, solving puzzles and trying to get deeper and deeper into the castle, to basically find out what's going on, because you do wake up with, believe it or not, amnesia. And
I don't believe it.
you have to figure out not only why you're there and what's going on and kind of why you're being like chased by these creatures and shadows, but you also have an objective that you find out early on to kill a man named Alexander.
I mean, I really like this premise a lot. Like you guys were saying, like you've seen a lot of this game. I haven't. I don't really care about watching games on YouTube. So like, this was all brand new to me, and like when I got to this premise, I thought this was a really strong starting point. Like, you know nothing about this world, obviously, and you find the note from yourself saying, go kill this guy. And by the way, there's something weird following you. Like it's fucking everything up. Fucking be aware. It's crazy.
But yeah, it's an extremely good setup for a game and a good premise. Especially for a horror game, you know. You just waking up, and then like the storytelling. There's a lot of things this game does very well. But the way it tells the story and the way you learn about Daniel's backstory is through basically basically two ways. One, collecting notes that you find throughout the castle, either from Daniel or from the other people that were in the castle, Alexander or whatever, and reading notes and pages and books to learn more about the world and yourself. But also through these kind of flashbacks that Daniel has, and you get to hear different. He goes through trips, kind of. You get to hear things that conversations he had with other people and stuff while he's losing his mind. I want to say, all of the voice acting in this game, and now that I've played it, not watching other people play it, I actually get to focus more on the story than just the person who's playing it. And I'm like, the voice acting in this game is fucking great. It's very well done.
Really good.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah,
it does, especially the flashbacks, the interactions. You don't actually get to see what's going on; you just hear it when you enter a room, what happened in that room when you enter it.
Yeah,
and it's it feels really vivid and immersive when you hear the voice acting and the sounds. The sounds in general too are really well done.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has excellent sound design. Even when you're slowly losing your sanity, you can hear bugs and
the bugs,
weird creaking in the background. It's just constantly.
It's
on edge.
It really builds to the atmosphere and the tension in the game.
Yeah, this is a game you should play with headphones on, because the sound design is totally worth it. It's incredible, honestly. I think it's the driving force of the game is how well the sound is. This sound and visually, in the visual design, it just, both of those senses combined together make a very well designed horror experience.
Yes,
and kind of how Silent Hill 2. We mentioned that also does it very well. Does a good job in sound design. I think this game even does a better job than Silent Hill 2 in terms of sound, making you feel immersed in everything that's going on.
This game does a better job in Silent Hill 2 than a lot of things, except for a map.
Except for a map, because you have no map in Amnesia. But the game does a very good job, even though you don't have a map, of making sure you know where to go at all times.
Yeah,
for the most part, there are certain areas like the fucking prison.
It's
the only one, really.
Yeah. It's almost like a maze in there.
Yeah, and it sucks because everything's super dark and you can't have your light on for very long because you're gonna lose oil, and if anybody spots you, you're gonna die. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the monsters roaming a lot in the prison.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The way the game works is they are enemies in the game, the monsters, but you have a lantern to explore areas because they're too dark. Because you stay in the dark, you start to lose sanity, and it affects your movement and your speed, your movement speed, your vision and everything. So if you spot an enemy, you can't defeat him or fight him or anything. You have to run and never face him, because if you the longer look at them, the more sanity drains, and they actually more dangerous as you look at them.
Right.
So, and they can spot you even though you're hiding if you're looking at them. I found that out. So you basically just have to run into a room, shut the door, and hide in like darkness. So it's kind of scary too, because if you stay in darkness, you lose sanity, but you can't put the light on while you're being chased because it'll spot you and kill you. So it's like, oof.
It's a balancing act. It's a management system, and I think it's really interesting that you're completely defenseless. There's nothing you can do. The game even tells you like you can't fight against this monster. If you see it, you have to hide. And I think
which makes sense.
Cool. Yeah, it does make sense. You're just a normal guy. You have there's really no weapons around. You don't have.
There are tons of weapons around.
Okay.
Well,
Well, true. But maybe, you're also not really well equipped for fighting. You're not like a master swordsman who's going to run around slicing these things up or anything like that. So you're just a normal dude. You have no superpowers. You're losing your fucking mind. And I think that's a little different than what I'm used to playing as in like really any game, or especially a horror game. Usually you have some way to fight back against the things in the game, but in this game you really don't. You just have to hide.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of the reason why I generally don't like the horror genre. Is like part of the way that they scare you is by limiting what you can do, and I don't like feeling powerless in a game, So I mean, I like this game and in general, but this is why I don't gravitate towards this genre in general. Yeah.
Right. So that's like a personal thing for you. You don't like that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold it against this game though.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, for me, I like.
I kind of agree, but yeah, I kind of agree because I kind of feel like I should be doing something, but yeah, I would be doing something rather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of ways in all horror games, but to this game in particular, where like there's some things where like there are obvious solutions like in front of you. Like there's a candlestick that you could just pick up, and he will never pick it up. He would never pick up any candles.
Yeah, like
even
a torch or something. Like take the torch out of the wall, dude, and just hold the torch, right?
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of like broke immersion for me a little bit, but it wasn't a huge deal.
Yeah, considering you can interact with everything in the game.
Yeah.
Except that.
Except
like
any
really
candle.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird
because that would be actually useful.
Yeah, because when you're walking around, like the main mechanics are there's like two things you have to manage. Like you mentioned already, Noah, you have to manage your sanity by staying out of the darkness and staying in light. But part of staying in light is you have to manage your oil level, because you have a lantern that you can collect oil throughout the game, but the longer you hold the oil out or the lantern out and have it on, the more your oil drains. So then you also get these tinder boxes that you can use to light up different candles or torches throughout the hallways or rooms, to give yourself a light source, not only one so you can see what's going on better, but also two, that if you stand in the light source you can recover some of your sanity. So like those are the things you really have to manage. I found myself not using a lot of tinder boxes as much as because the tinder boxes are like a double-edged sword sometimes, because you need to hide in the darkness when the monster comes. And there's times where if you have it lit, like it screws you over, because then the monster can see you. And
sucks. Biggest problem with the tinderbox, that whole system, is that you can't shut those lanterns off. You can't. Yeah. You can't douse those flames ever. And that makes no sense to me, because you can trap yourself without meaning to. Like you can light a candle like earlier when you're running through a hallway. Come back to that level, suddenly there's an enemy there. You can't do shit because he can see you.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of screws you over. It's like I just found myself not really using them that often, because I did run into that same thing.
I kind of wish that the sanity mechanic had a much more like a bigger effect on your character, and like penalizing you more if you let it drain like completely. Because at first I didn't know what it did, so I was like, I really don't want my sanity to go to nothing, because it scares the shit out of you when you like start seeing all the effects and like additional scares like an atmosphere.
Sometimes you can see a monster
building.
that's not even an actual monster. He like disappears and shit.
Yeah, and then you see like cockroaches like run on the screen. And shit.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, and so I was like really set on never letting it get too low. So I was using the like lights and the lantern a lot more. And at that one point, I think it's like the second monster or first monster encounter, where like he's in a room as soon as you enter it, and you have to like run and hide before he spots you. Mm-hmm. Like my sanity was already low, so I ran in the corner, but it's like it wasn't really a corner; it was just in the back of the room. And like he was still visible like in a straight line, but because it was dark, I was able to hide from him. And I just waited for him to leave, and he stayed there for a really long time, and then I just ran out of sanity. All I did was my guy just collapsed on the floor. And then after like a minute, I get back up. I'm like, oh, and my sanity's like almost full again. Well, halfway. And then I look around, the monster's gone. I was like, oh, okay, so there's not really that. If you're like being chased and you suddenly lose sanity, then I could see that being a hindrance.
It's a death sentence.
Yeah. But that never happened to me. Like I've been low on sanity a lot because I started playing in the darkness a lot more. Once I found out it wasn't as bad. I thought it was like if it spawned like more monsters or made you more susceptible to being spotted, like you start making like noise, like paranoia noises, like oh my god, and then the monster hears you, then that would have been a lot more scary.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it kind of does spawn more monsters, doesn't it?
It does.
And not really. It despawned monster for me.
It spawns fake ones too that you think are real. You won't know.
Wait, are they fake? Like if you go up to them, what happens?
I've had one catch me and he just like disappears. Like
oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it spawns fake ones that make you think they're real, but you don't know which ones are real and which ones are fake, so that's kind of cool.
Huh.
Yeah.
I thought they were real.
They never spawn fake ones.
You don't know if they are. I mean, some of them are fake. I've had a fake one see me and then run up to me, and then he's like, right when he's about to hit me, he disappears. And like, scares the shit out of you, but you're like, oh, that was fake. Like, I think that's actually kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Never happened to me.
The monster is fucking terrifying looking, by the way. Like
the monsters, there's like three
monsters,
of them.
Yeah. There's the water monster, there's the basic one, I forgot what they call them. Grunts? Is it called grunts?
No, they're called something else. I wish I could remember their name too. You read it in a passage at one point.
Yeah.
I think that's the invisible one. Yeah. You read in a passage, yeah.
Well, you find out about, like, the ones that, like, were in the 30-year war or whatever, and now are wandering around forever. And I think that's what they are, but I don't remember their names. But they have, like, this, like, just their jaw is, like, unhinged, and it's, like, hanging real low. And those are,
they're really tall for some reason, yeah.
They're like the mascots of Amnesia, really, at this point.
Yeah.
They're like these weird flesh things with gaping mouths, with their heads tilted and their beady eyes, and they are pretty terrifying to look at.
Yeah.
That water monster honestly scared the fuck out of me because you can't see it.
Yeah. The first time I encountered the water monster, I was like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Yeah, and I that part was like stressing me out. I really actually liked that part because you have to like there's this invisible water monster, and the water's like waist level, so you have to like jump on top of these floating boxes. And stay out of the water, and you have to like pick up pieces of like human meat, like arms and shit, and like throw them in the water to distract him. And there's a part where you have to do it, and then like start like rotating a crank to like get this door open while he's distracted, but you have to be fast with it. And then after that, there's like this chase sequence where you're like running through these corridors, and he's right behind you. And that part I thought was really cool, but also was stressing me the fuck out. First time I did it, I died because I didn't realize I had to you have to keep closing the doors behind you. And I was like, what the fuck? But the game actually is very, I will say when you do die, the game is it has autosave, so it's actually kind of lenient with the checkpoints. So usually when you die, it's not a huge deal. And they also give you like a little tip on the screen, like when I died against the monster. Yeah, it was like close the door, run. And I was like, oh, I gotta close the doors behind me to slow it down. Okay. But that becomes a little cumbersome, closing the doors behind you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I didn't like the way you had to push and pull your mouse to close doors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wish I could just swipe, like, move it left or right, like how you would naturally feel like shutting a door, not in or out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, it was pretty arduous, even.
Because it was really hard to tell if a door opened towards you or away from you. Like, if you had to pull it or push.
Yeah, there was some times like that where it's...
It was like I was being chased and I fucking tried to push a door and I was just like, I have to fucking pull it and then pull it again when I get on the other side. It's annoying. Yeah. And then the other times where I had to push and I was trying to pull.
Yeah. On PC, it's not as bad. On controller, it's even worse.
And it also depends what angle you're looking at the door. It's fucking pain in the ass. Especially when you're getting chased. Like, I really like I thought that was a highlight of the game, like the chase sequences.
Yeah.
Those, like,
those are really good.
Fucking tense. But, man, fuck those doors.
Yeah. They are tense.
Whenever I was looking or exploring in, like, the general areas, I always left doors open if I had to run in and hide.
Right. Well, there's also, it's also a good strategy if you're in a room and you're just exploring to, like, shut the door and keep it shut.
Well, when I'm done exploring, I left it open. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the monster, by the way, will smash the door down.
Yeah.
You can close
takes him a little while, but yeah.
It does take him. It does give you a generous amount of time to hide in the room if you close the door behind you. Yeah.
Yeah, you can hide in the cabinets. Lots of cabinets in this castle, by the way.
Yeah. I found myself hiding in rooms where it was just had a dark corner more than anything. Like, in the beginning, there's a lot of cabinets, but later on, when you reach the lower levels, like the prison or the fucking cellar. Well, actually, in the cellar, there were a couple of rooms that had a cabinet, but my hiding place was the fucking pig room in that cellar.
Mm-hmm. Oh, besides, of course, what we've been talking about, in terms of the gameplay, that's the basic of the gameplay, the basic elements of it. But the other thing is obviously exploring the castle and trying to get deeper and deeper to try to find Alexander. But, like, you have to solve puzzles along the way as well. And they're all, none of the puzzles are very hard to figure out. And some of them are physics-based. I do like some of the physics-based ones, like throw something at something, to either throw something at a wall to break it, or there's like the little lever that you have to throw and like knock it off or whatever. Stuff like
stuck
that.
in the chain. Yeah,
but then
I like the ones where you had to build like a staircase or something that you can get up higher ground. Like you just place the crates on top of each other to go up.
Yeah. Or there's, fixing the elevator, or the pipes,
the pipes,
stuff like that throughout the game, or the...
Yeah, and then, like, there were even puzzles where you had to figure out, like, the combination to make, like, the potion or the acid in the beginning. And it's just, like, it's more trial and error than anything. You don't actually have to guess which goes where.
I don't think it matters. I just put them in there. I just threw them in. I think they put them in the right... I don't know even think it matters where spot. You just put them in. You just have to find them.
Yeah, it just went in.
Yeah. I mean, it's not much of a puzzle in that case, it's not as much of a puzzle as just find these things and bring them to this spot, and then you get the thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like super crazy puzzles, but it's more just like practical things, like pretty sensible things for the most part.
Just engaging things to get from, to keep you involved, to get you from one space to another. I thought they were good enough. They kept you going, kept you thinking a bit, and like I said, a lot of them were just collect these things and bring them to this spot, like the gears. But sometimes there was levers that you had to pull in like specific orders or whatever. Even then, that wasn't super hard to figure out.
I thought it was mostly, pretty solid.
Yeah, overall good. They're good enough. Like they weren't obtuse where you're confused or stressed out trying to figure them out. They were good.
Right.
Yeah. Which is what you want, I feel like, in a game like this. Almost kind of like Resident Evil puzzles, Because Resident Evil had similar style puzzles where sometimes Resident Evil puzzles were a little bit more difficult than the ones in this game, and I would say a little bit better than the ones in this game, but still, they remind me of it a bit, like collecting items and bringing them to a specific spot,
Yeah.
So we haven't really talked about the story a lot besides the main characters, what you're going through. And I don't know, do you guys think we should have a spoiler section?
I think so, yeah.
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 Because there is, I guess, some spoilers. And I feel like if you do play this game, you should try to play it without being spoiled. You know, unfortunately, that wasn't the case for me because I'd watched playthroughs of this game before. But
I only had seen like bits and pieces here and there. I never watched the whole thing, so it was still refreshing to me.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I could put a spoiler tag in the description below if you guys want to skip ahead. But I just want to talk about that a bit because you get to when you get deeper and deeper in the castle, eventually you come across I don't remember his name. Heinrich, I think.
Yeah.
Who like studied the orb. So we didn't even talk about. We find out like the reason you're going crazy is you found this orb while you were on like an expedition
in Algeria.
Yeah, Tin Hinan's tomb, and you found that orb. And touching that orb basically like had this like these like shadows were like coming to kill you, right? Because you find out through other people who contacted the orb also died because of it. So you like
throughout history there have been multiple orbs.
Yeah, and all those people have died horrible deaths because they found or touched the orb.
And like everybody they know has died too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you end up like getting the help of this guy named Alexander, who basically, you know, promises that to get rid of the shadow for you. But in order to do that, like they have to like gather this energy by like torturing people who at the time that Alexander said that these are all criminals, right?
Mm-hmm.
They basically had to like torture people to bring out the terror in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was like the main ingredient was terror, so they had to like do like really bad shit and like torture people to get it. They couldn't just outright kill them.
Right. They had to get that energy or whatever it was to like to build enough of it to get rid of the curse, right? And Alexander, you know, Daniel thinks he's doing it to just people who are bad people, like criminals, you know. That's what Alexander tells them. Then you find out they're actually, you know, they were actually innocent people that you're torturing, which is fucked up. But and of course, Daniel's like, yo, I'm not doing this. And like Alexander also.
Well, it's like a subtle thing. Like he goes through a bunch of rationalizations, like, oh, I don't care if I'm killing criminals. Oh, who cares if they're, you know, they pretend to be innocent. You know, I don't really listen to them. They're monsters. They're scum of the earth. And then he gets to this point where Alexander goes to kill a family of people, completely innocent people, and he runs off to go kill, you know, like the daughters of this person that Alexander kills. And he's about to kill her, or I think he does kill her, and he realizes, oh shit, I'm actually killing innocent people now. Yeah. Or maybe I'm doing bad things, not you know, being a selfish asshole, not doing things for, you know, the greater good. But, you know.
And he's really would be being selfish because he was doing it just to save himself, really.
Yeah.
And then you find out that also Alexander isn't really trying to help you. He's like, I think he was like
just trying to unleash the power of the orb.
I think he's like trying another dimension or something.
Yeah, he's trying to open a gate because he's in love with some woman in some other dimension. Apparently, I think that's where he originally was from. He's immortal, so he's been on this dimension for a long time, and that's the thing.
Right.
He's been trying to use the orb to make a portal.
Right, he's trying to, and then you're like, okay, well, you know, we got to stop him, and then you took a thing to give yourself amnesia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he couldn't live with the guilt. That's why from the killing the daughter.
Right. So you obviously you left yourself these notes like you have to kill Alexander. You have to stop him. And then when you finally get down to him, you have to make another orb to be able to open the door that he's in with pieces of other orbs. And then when you finally do that, you get to him, and it was kind of anticlimactic, at least for me.
Yeah, the ending in general wasn't satisfying.
He's opening the portal, right? And at that point, I just walked in and was like, oh, okay. I pushed over the pillars, and then it was like, that's the end of the game. I was like, wait, that was it? That was it? That's all I had to do? I don't know what I expected, really, because I knew there wasn't really going to be any combat or anything like that. But it was just like, oh, that's it. Okay.
I was expecting like a weird puzzle where like Alexander is like keeping at bay, like trying to stay away from you, but you have to figure out a way how to like trap him and like kill him. Mm-hmm. Like drop a boulder on him or something like from far away, or I don't know, make the building collapse on him, something collapse on him. But he was just literally just there floating naked and just open a portal, and you were just literally staring at him.
Yeah.
Well, like I managed to get like apparently there's 3 different endings you can get. I didn't know, and one of them is just letting him do his thing, just stay in the room, don't do anything, and he gets away. The other is pushing over the pillars, breaking before he's able to make the portal, and you both die.
You don't die in that ending.
Oh, you don't die? Okay.
No. You die in the ending where you let him open the portal.
Yeah.
You die.
That's what I did. There was another person,
Heinrich,
and he basically was working with Alexander or something, but he was one of the creatures, or like a spirit living in one of the bodies as a shell, and you have to make like a potion and then chop his that'll keep him alive, because you want to chop his head off and take him with you when you confront Alexander, and that's what I did. And then I let him open the portal, and he was like, you have to let me go through the portal. Like, don't let the anger get the better of you. Let him open the portal, and then toss me in it. I was like, oh, okay. So that's what I did. I basically waited for him, just staring at Alexander, like not saying anything. The dialogue was over. We're just waiting for the portal to open, and then I just threw his head in, and it was like that. It was just like, no, you fool! What have you done? It just blows up.
Then doesn't that kill both of you?
It's weird. Well, it just fades out. It doesn't really show me dying either, but it just collapses everything. So I assume I died.
Yeah.
Well, from what I've read of it, like Heinrich has another person on the other side of the portal. He used to be his student, who's mastered being able to go through portals and stuff, and he's gonna help you. He's gonna take you with him. That's the whole thing of that ending.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not
didn't
like
really
a bad ending.
show
it's
that.
One of the good endings.
Yeah. It didn't really show that, but I guess that's what happened.
So there's really one bad ending and 2 good endings, right?
Yeah.
And it's I don't think any of them are necessarily canon. I don't know, if any of them matter.
Oh no, that's right. There was dialogue about that. Now that I remember. Yeah, it was
about his student?
About a student, and him talking to a student is like, "Oh, this is a good person. You can bring him through," or something like that. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't remember that. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was very short. It was very short.
Yeah, about the final fight or confrontation, I wasn't really expecting a battle or anything. I was just kind of expecting like a conversation, and even I didn't even get that really. Like they talked very little, but nothing really. I wanted you went through all this shit, like fucking say something, goddamn.
Yeah,
I
was expecting Daniel to actually say something instead of just because you only really hear him speak when you read his diaries, but otherwise he doesn't. When he interacts with other things or people, he doesn't really speak. Like when you interacted with Heinrich, he never really said anything. It was one of those "I'm a silent protagonist, but you can read my mind" things.
At the beginning of the game, he speaks. He's like, "My name." He's like, "My name is Daniel. That's all I can remember."
Yeah. But I expected when he confronted Alexander to be like, "You fucker," or like burst out. But like, cause he had all this built up anger and like he went through all that shit just to kill him. So you'd think you would have some sort of emotion, not just be silent the whole time.
Yeah. I feel like there should have been more of
outburst.
Just something, some more of a confrontation, like at the end of the game between them.
Yeah.
Instead of it,
like a much more satisfying way to kill him. Yeah. Jesus Christ, please.
Yeah.
Kill this guy with some, passion.
Yeah.
Stab him, throw shit at him, throw a giant boulder, something. Yeah.
Stab him in the penis.
That's what
He's not wearing any underwear.
Yeah, that's what he gets for letting it hang out.
You should have just thrown the lantern at him so he could catch fire. That would have been fucking awesome.
That would have been better.
Yeah.
It would have been better, yeah. He would have said, I don't need this anymore. Or, I would think you might need it to escape, but...
Well, we didn't have an escape sequence, which would also been cool.
And the ending, when you knock over the pillars, it shows them, leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't show a lot, but it's just him walking back through the castle, like leaving.
Yeah, he's backtracking basically.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume all the monsters are gone at that point. Because you closed the portal, I don't know.
Yeah, he got rid of the shadow or whatever.
The shadow.
But it's weird because the monsters weren't part of they were like created by Alexander and shit. They weren't really part of the orb's power?
Yeah, the shadow was like the weird like stuff that would show up and like hurt you.
It was basically
Yeah.
Like the random red fleshy stuff that would cover the rooms after you're done with them. Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff.
Yeah, like all the monsters were basically Alexander's creation.
Yeah, so like it doesn't really make sense they would all just randomly disappear. Yeah. Or why he could control them, because there was a segment where they capture you and throw you in prison, which was very strange.
Yeah, that part was weird. Because I thought I was like, well, I'm fucked. There's 3 of them. I'm dead. And
it's like,
it looks like they kill you, but then you wake up in prison. I'm like, wait, they threw me in prison? Very weird. I guess they can be controlled, or... I don't get why they would throw you in prison when the rest of the game they're trying to kill you.
Yeah. It's very...
I don't know, maybe it's the power of the orb.
Maybe. Or the orb does weird shit to you. Okay, well, that's all I got to say for the spoilers, at least in the game.
I'll just say one last thing for the spoilers. Sure. I really like that in the flashback sequences, like the one where he's performing torture, that you actually like play through that a little bit, so you feel like a little bit more complicit. Like I thought that was awesome. I like stuff like that. Cool. And when you're going into the farmhouse with Alexander, that whole segment where you kind of like reveal his his fall from grace, really. Daniel's he's actually a bad guy.
You're right. Right. He's not so innocent after all.
Wow.
Now let's talk about recommendations. You recommend this game or not? Gilles, I'm gonna start with you because you never played this game at all, or even seen anything. So this is your first real experience with it. Would you recommend this game?
Yes, definitely. One last problem I had with this game that I forgot to mention.
Sure.
Every time you get a memory, the screen lights up like fuck, and you spend the whole game in darkness except for those moments. Those shit hurt my eyes so much. I could not look at the screen anytime that happened. I had to turn away. It was too much. But yeah, other than that, game's really, really good.
Okay. Noah?
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's a really good basic horror game. Nowadays, having Amnesia in a game feels the kind of cliche, but this one was one of the few that did it really well. It actually fit in with the story really quite well. So, yeah, the atmosphere is excellent. Sound design is really good. You get scared. It doesn't... Oh, one thing I can definitely appreciate, this game does not rely on jump scares to scare you. That's always a big plus in my book.
Yeah.
So.
Very true. Very true. I'll say. I mean, I gotta say yes to. Of course, I definitely would recommend playing through this game. I'm glad finally get to play through it after all these years of just knowing about it and watching other people play it, and actually being able to play it myself was cool. And it's definitely worth playing, even all these years later. There's a reason why it wasn't a mistake, that it ushered in Let's Plays on YouTube and people just found it fun to watch, Whether you want to play it in a dark room alone, whether you want to stream it, whether you want to play it in the same room with somebody else, having them watch, it's going to be as much fun either way, whether it's a experience you share with other people and getting scared together, or just doing it alone. I mean, it's a cool game and a cool experience, I would say. So it's definitely worth playing. And with that being said, now it's time to put Amnesia: The Dark Descent on the list.
The list.
You can follow along with the list in the Pastebin link that is in the description below. And every week on the Up Supercast Game Club, we add whatever game that we played on the list. So because it's a Patreon pick, we can start with somebody here. And how about Noah? We just started with Ills for the last thing, so I'll start with you for this one. What on the list? Where do you think Amnesia belongs, or at least a starting point of around where you think it should go?
Yeah, we don't really have that many horror games to compare it to on the list. Like maybe around Silent Hill 2, because we did make a comparison earlier. Because otherwise I have no idea where to start. Let's see.
Yeah, we do have a few. We have a few, but yeah, we don't have a ton of horror games.
Like we all usually have like a segment. Like we have an area where visual novels go. That's where we start. Like as a kind of like a.
They've definitely separated it out, which is nice.
Now they are, yeah.
Now they are. They were all like next to each other at one point, which was. We don't necessarily want it or need it to be like that, obviously.
I mean, maybe in the 70s? Or is that too high?
No, I would put it above Silent Hill 2, easy. I would also put it above, I think my highest I would go is below Walking Dead. That's about it.
Where's Walking Dead?
It's at 65.
Mm-hmm. I would think either that or below Ghost Trick.
Yeah, that's what I was going back and forth on.
Yeah, because I think, both of these games do tell actually a very good story, right? In terms of Ghost Trick in this, but I think Ghost Trick I like better.
Yeah, I definitely like Ghost Trick a lot more. The Missing JJ is a mixed bag for me, so I wouldn't mind putting it above that. With Silent 2, comparing it to Silent 2, it's weird. Like, they both have scary atmospheres, but they're different scary.
Yeah, I was actually scared in this game.
Yeah. It's like... Yeah, it was definitely a lot more immersive in this game and, felt more, quote-unquote, realistic scary than Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 was just, fucked up. That was its theme. It was just fucked up. Whereas this one, it was just, actually terrifying. So,
yeah, it's very
I have no problem putting Amnesia above Silent Hill 2 and Missing JJ.
I also think the story in this game is a lot better than Silent Hill 2's.
Yeah, well, that was another thing. Well, it's weird because for me, both the endings were kind of... Well, not the ending, but, for Amnesia, the ending was very disappointing. Anticlimactic for me. But with Silent Hill 2... the story in general had a lot of potential, but they just dropped the ball at the end, kind of. Not with how the story ends, but how they built it up and what it came out to be, kind of way. It's weird, but
it's
that
also
was just
9 different fucking endings in that game.
So you don't know which is canon. It's just some things don't actually make sense where others do. It's just it's a mess.
There's a lot more that doesn't make sense in Silent Hill 2. It's
more fucked up than it actually proves itself to be. So yeah, I'm definitely okay with Amnesia being higher.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think Amnesia is a scarier game than Silent Hill 2. Both are good games, but yeah, Amnesia is honestly scarier. And both the main characters are pieces of shit, but I think Daniel's a little bit more likable.
Yeah.
Than what's his name?
How?
I said a little bit more.
Yeah,
No.
Both main characters are not good people, right?
Daniel's horrible. He tortures people.
Well, he thought they were criminals, first of all.
Well, that doesn't excuse torture.
He thought that it was the only way to save himself, and that he was doing it to criminals.
That's no excuse.
I couldn't do it personally. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do.
The fucking guy from Silent Hill 2 killed one person, his wife, because he asked her to.
That's if you choose that ending. That could be a very different interpretation if you choose a different ending.
Yeah, okay, but still, it was one person.
That's what. Well, yeah, but
Versus, like, 50.
One innocent person versus a bunch of criminals.
Whoa, he killed an innocent person, too.
Well, he thought...
yeah, that's.
He didn't know.
He realized and tried
Yes,
to
he did.
Well, he realized it after.
He knew. He was just rationalizing.
He was a broken man at that point.
Yeah, he was a broken man, but he still fucked up.
Yeah, he did.
I'm not saying that either of them are great.
He's
people.
worse. He's so much worse.
Well, it still should be above Silent Hill 2, regardless.
I agree.
But I also think it should be above J.J. Maxfield. I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, I think J.J. Maxfield should be lower anyway, so that's obvious right there for me. Yeah, I guess my sticking point is Ghost Trick.
For sure.
I don't think it should be above Ghost Trick. Ilse?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine. Okay. All right. Sounds good then. Then we'll put it at... I just lost it. Number 68. So surrounding it, number 66 is Super Mario Sunshine. 67 is Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, which was a Game Club game. And you're gonna hear all the games from here on out are Game Club games, by the way. 68 obviously is now Amnesia: The Dark Descent. 69 is The Missing J.J. Maxfield and the Island of Memories. Lots of fucking long titles. And number 70, Silent Hill 2. So
not so long.
Yeah. A lot of these games are in this area do actually have a little bit in common. They're all kind of like mystery, and kind of horror games in a way. Well, obviously not Super Mario Sunshine, but Silent Hill 2,
Some
The
people
Missing.
will call it a horror.
I guess. All of these, Ghost Trick, Missing, Silent Hill 2, Amnesia, all have people trying to figure out who they are, and then also a little bit of horror, or a lot depending on the game. But even Ghost Trick is has a ghost, obviously, and people trying to figure out
actually there's in the beginning you don't remember who you are, so it does have he has amnesia.
Yeah, exactly. And The Missing is her trying to figure out really who she is as a person, and there's horror and dismemberment and all sorts of shit in that game.
There's a lot of dismemberment and gore. Actually, Missing has more gore than anything of these three.
It surprisingly does, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all these games have a lot more in common than you would originally think. But that's it for the list. Before we go, I just want to say that, hey, if you enjoy the Jump Up Supercast Game Club, make sure you check out make sure you check us out on your favorite podcast listening service of your choice, either SoundCloud, iTunes, or YouTube, where new episodes of the Game Club are going to go up every other Thursday, as well as the Jump Up Supercast. Our normal episodes go up every single Monday. We talk about gaming news, add games to the list, all sorts of stuff. Give us a follow, a like, a share. Feel free to let us know what you think about Amnesia: The Dark Descent. If you played the game, did you watch people play the game back in the day? Are you a YouTuber now that got popular because of this game? Let us know. How's this game affected you in your life? And who's more of a piece of shit, the Silent Hill 2 guy or
Definitely Daniel. Definitely.
Daniel was manipulated, so. Yeah.
What?
Hey, if you enjoy what we do on Patreon, or here on Jump Up Supercast, we do have a Patreon, and we really appreciate everybody who supports us right now. And for $1 a month, you can actually get access to our Discord server and also be able to pick games that just like this one. This was a Patreon pick, so you can pick a game for us to play once we go, because it'll go Noah, me, Ills, and then a game, and then a Patreon pick. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to stay up to date on everything Jump Up Supercast related. We'll post the episodes on those when they go up, and you can even see us streaming sometimes on twitch.tv/JumpUpSupercast. And I just want to thank Noah and Nils for playing games with me. I want to thank our patrons for supporting us, and also Leahy for picking this game for us to play. And Noah, it's your turn to pick a game.
Yeah, it is. We're gonna be playing Shadow of the Colossus next.
We just added that game to the list.
Fuck?
Noah.
What?
Yeah.
When? Yesterday?
Yesterday.
Oh, why did you? Why'd you add that? God damn it!
That was Saf. That was Saf.
Ah, so now what? You can't play it? Fuck.
No.
I mean,
you can get it picked for your New Year's game if you want to play it.
God damn it! I was really looking forward to playing that one. Fuck. What was my other choice? Hang on, I have to bring up my fucking list of games now. Alright, let's do Castlevania Rondo of Blood.
I beat that game already, but yeah, I'll play it again.
Alright, cool. So we're going to be playing Castlevania Rondo of Blood for our next game. Catch us back in 2 weeks when we talk about that. And I want to thank everybody for listening. Go out there, play some video games, and be nice.